Hey there. Happy Wednesday, hump day. In our last week of Women's History Month. It is still Women's History Month. We are in our last couple of days, actually. 3 days before the month is over. And Women's History Month will, for 2023, will have ended, but Women's History will never end. Just want to check right quick to make sure that I am live, because sometimes Facebook Live is not my friend. So I want to verify. All right, we live. How is your day going on this hump day Wednesday? Hopefully they say work it Wednesday, that you have been working it out today and you are getting your things done that you need to get done. You are executing. You are not making excuses or are coming up with reasons why, because sometimes those reasons why are so sexy and they sound so good. How do I know? Because I am guilty of that. Absolutely. Well, I am Kim Dixon. I am a leadership and business development partner. I'm a leadership coach. I'm an international speaker, and I help amazing women leaders soar to her next level in leadership, really reposition herself from where she was to where she is going, as I have repositioned myself from corporate leadership into entrepreneurship. And I help others do the same. I also work with organizations in helping add leadership tools to their toolkit. So if you know an organization that really wants to grow the leaders within the organization, I may be that person that you can recommend. Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me today. Say hi while we're on here so that I can speak back to you either now or within the process. So I have committed to going live every Wednesday in this month of March 2023, Women's History Month, and I have done so. I have upheld that commitment. We started off with what is Women's History Month. And Women's History Month is an annual declared month that highlights the contribution of women to events in history. And I believe that we are making history every single day. And it's great to recognize those women that have made an impact in history, but you are the woman who is making an impact today. And what we do today, tomorrow, it is history. It is her story. We celebrated International Women's Day on March 8th, which represented women all over the globe and the impact that women have made. Equal Pay Day, how long it takes for women to earn the same amount of pay that it does for men. So Equal Pay Day is March 14th in our same month, but for women of color, Equal Pay Day is all the way in July. For Latino women, Equal Pay Day is in October. It takes a whole year plus all of those days to get to equal pay. So I'm definitely an advocate for women's economic advancement, and I believe it's important that we are aware of these facts so that we can act accordingly and go get what's ours. Absolutely. And then we spent some time talking about being positioned to win and how winning is a vibe, winning is a choice. You have to choose to be a winner. You choose to win, and then your actions will follow your choice. So you can consciously choose to be a winner and then perform like a winner, perform like a champion, and show up in that manner as we continue to grow in the things that winners do. In order to be to position yourself to win, I shared with you before the 5 C's. Clarity. Clarity comes from the giver of the assignment. So I believe the giver of my assignment is God, the Holy Spirit, and that's where my clarity comes from. And when I'm not clear, I return back to the originator. I return back to the originator of the assignment. Courage was the second C, and it requires courage, leadership courage to really step out of your comfort zone and to really grow to your next level. Just reviewing some from the previous weeks. The third C was connection. Iron sharpens iron, and connections matter. It matters the connections that you're with, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Conditioning, you have champions have to be conditioned, right? We have to, requires focus, requires us to have conditioning and commitment, being committed to staying there until the entire assignment is completed. If you are on assignment, be committed to hang it to the end. So this is the last Wednesday of the month of March. This month had 5 Wednesdays. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Started with the first day of the month, and I am committed to staying there into the end, right? Then we talked about using what's in your hand to refocus, restore, and reconnect so that you can use your area of expertise and reminding you of what you have in your hand, encouraging you to fall back in love with that business or that assignment that you were working on that you got a little weary and maybe you got away from it. I even created a workshop, which is going to happen tomorrow. If you're interested in that workshop, it's pinned at the top of my page, about refocusing, restoring, and reconnecting. This workshop will really get you into the mindset where we need to be, right? To refocus back to where we are supposed to be, eliminating some of the distractions, to restore the love for that assignment, for that business, for entrepreneurship, to restore the things that were working that maybe we stopped doing, and then to reconnect with those people, places, and things. And I definitely will add in there a business development strategy to help you align your business for a successful 2023. It's not too late to join. Again, the link to that workshop is going to be at the top of my page, and I'll drop it in the video as well. So today is the 5th Wednesday again for Women's History Month, and today I'm talking about walking with giants, and that you may be the giant that someone is waiting to walk with. I've been posting that on my page all day about some of the attitudes of giants, walking with giants. Sometimes when you're walking with giants, those who may be a few steps ahead of you, you might have to skip or even run a little bit to keep up with them, right? When you're walking with giants, you may have to even reach up in order to elevate yourself to the next level. It definitely requires a level of courage to walk with giants, for sure. Definitely requires a level of courage when you're gonna, I'm trying to adjust here, when you're gonna be walking with giants. It requires you to display your level of courage, right? And it also requires you to have the confidence that you are the giant. And when I say giants, I don't mean literal giants. Like, if you remember the story in the Bible where they went to the promised land and they thought that, oh my gosh, we saw giants. Well, one group saw giants and the other group did not necessarily see the same thing, because it's all about perspective. Where you are and where the next person is, you may see them as a giant. I even experienced this myself, and there are giants in industries that I want to connect with, and I see myself walking with giants, meaning that I'm getting myself ready for that next level. What is that next level, that level up that you are getting yourself ready for as you are walking with giants, if that is a desire of yours? It really makes me think about the opportunity that I just had to go to Madrid. So in November, I went to Madrid, and I just posted a video, a reel recently, I think it was yesterday or today, about my experience in Madrid. It was a phenomenal experience. It was not a planned experience. I can't see the comments right now, so if you're commenting, I will catch your comment after. It was not a planned experience, but it was not pre-planned by me, but it was a divine assignment. So the opportunity seemingly came out of nowhere. I only knew a couple months before, And someone who I had worked with years ago, over 20 years ago, she contacted me and she let me know that there was an opportunity to go to Madrid, that they were looking for someone to speak on their at their workshop. They had a panel and they were looking for someone who had transitioned from corporate leadership into entrepreneurship to speak on the panel. And she had worked with me before, and she said that I've been following you, and I remember when we worked together, I was always impressed by how well you led amongst all of the men, that you were the only woman leader, and I was always impressed by that, how well you led. And when this opportunity came up, I thought about you. And when she reached out to me initially, I was like, well, is this for real? Because I had not talked to her. And is not somebody that I communicate with often. I had not talked to her in a long time, since we worked together. But it is important, the impression that you make on people is important. The impact and influence, that's what leadership is. Leadership is influence. And if you're a great leader, then your impact should last well beyond your actual presence. You can be gone and your impact still is there. And that was the case for this. And so she contacted me and she told me about the opportunity, and we worked things out, and I got to go to Madrid, Spain, and speak at this workshop that was at the Four Seasons Madrid. And it was for women entrepreneurs. And there were people that were speaking about different parts of entrepreneurship, about strategic entrepreneurship. There are people there they're speaking about startups. And I was speaking about the transition from corporate leadership into entrepreneurship. And I was also speaking about the entrepreneurial leader and the entrepreneurial mindset, because mindset is important. You know, usually we don't get stopped because we don't have the actual steps to do something, because you know it's 2023 and most things you can Google it. You can look up the steps how to do something. You want to start a business, you can look up how to start a business and it'll give you all the steps. But if your mind is not ready for the next step, then you will stall. If you haven't worked through some of the mindset stalls, you will come to a point where you've taken yourself as far as you can go, and now you need some type of support. And that's where coaches and consultants come in. Like I said before, it's just like if you're playing a video game and you've never been to level 17 on the video game, and you're on level 9, and you keep dying out on level 9 because you don't know that up in the top corner there's a little green leaf that you have to go and grab, and someone has done that before and they can give you that tip, or someone has learned that, or someone has experienced that and they can give you that tip, or they can help you with the mindset to get to where you want to go. So this young lady was the person who hooked me up with the opportunity. I did end up taking the opportunity to go to Madrid. It was phenomenal. I spoke at the event. I connected with some amazing leaders. And this is where the giants came in. So I went to also the conference. There was an IWEC conference, so International Women Entrepreneurs Conference. And this is an international conference that is held every year in a different country every year. This was my first time going. So the women at this conference, the minimum that their business should be earning is $1 million and more. So I was in the presence of the women that were $1 million earners in their business. But not just $1 million earners, there were $1 billion earners in the room. The room was elevated, and we spent 3 days. So we took we stayed at 2 hotels, and the same women there, and we got to interact on all levels, being in that environment. And I remember talking to one of the speakers as I was networking on one of the breaks, or it may have been on the shuttle. And I was talking to one of the speakers, and we were just chatting about business and, you know, how the economy is, because the conversation is a little bit elevated when you're talking to giants, right? So we were chatting about something, and I was asking her a couple questions about her business. And she said, I'm not going to share it all with you right now because I'm a speaker tomorrow, and I don't want to just mess up the what you're going to hear tomorrow by giving you my whole story today. I don't want to give you a spoiler alert. That's what she said. I want to give a spoiler alert today because I'm a speaker tomorrow. So the next day when she did speak, she just blew us out of the water. This is a multi-billionaire that was speaking the next day. Woman entrepreneur that started with nothing. She started with building a business that was around event planning, and she told her whole story of how she built this business in Africa. This woman was a multi-billionaire with a B, and it was just so exciting to be in the presence of this level of entrepreneurship, in the presence of this level of businesswoman, because it really made me say, I want to come back next year. I want to be one of the honorees. I want to be one of the attendees. I want to be on that stage giving the presentation someday. It really made me elevate what my expectations of myself as a businesswoman was. And that's what happens when you surround yourself with giants, right? When you surround yourself, when you impart yourself into a place where people are at an elevated stance, and it doesn't make them any better than you. You know, I've been in business my whole life. I am a believer, and my call is business. You know, my gift is business. If you know me, I talk about business all the time. You know, I was just at an event. They were asking some questions, and one of the trivia questions was about what was the percentage of some. And I just rattled it off because for 20 something years, I've been in a retail environment where I needed to know how much I'm selling of all these items all the time. And if you have worked with me, you can attest to that, hey, ask me. And I think it was, you know, the bill is $15 and it's 10%. Like, what is the percentage? And I was like, it's $3. Because that is what I do. I mean, it was 20%, it's $3. So that's what I do. Like, I am a businesswoman. So in the business environment, I felt very comfortable as we were talking about business. Didn't matter what they're talking about. You know, one of my best traits was, and still is, managing that profit and loss statement. So they're talking language that I was very comfortable with, but it's just all the zeros that came behind it, where I was used to managing somebody else's millions, and these ladies were talking about managing their own millions. This is how you walk with giants, that make you sit down and say, wait a minute, let me write down what you're talking about. Let me pull out my phone and look up this term that you're talking about. Let me humble myself and become the student and learn from you. Let me gain from this knowledge that God has exposed me to at a higher level. And because I showed up in a way that this young lady that invited me, she thought that I would be valuable in this environment, so she invited me to come. And God really allowed me to be in an environment that was elevated to me, and I plan to return. This is what I mean when I say walking with giants. And then you are the giant that someone wants to walk with. Someone is looking up to you to say, you have accomplished this. You have this personality trait. You have this experience, and they want to learn that from you. They want you to be the giant that they can look up to, that they can learn from. Are you stretching yourself to walk with giants yourself, but to also be the giant that someone can walk with? Are you allowing yourself to be that? And another part about when I was in Madrid and we took the shuttle, a shuttle bus came to our hotel. We all stayed at the same two hotels. So the shuttle bus came at our hotel to take us to a castle. On the last night, the dinner was at a castle, a beautiful castle, and every room had tables set up in it, and it was all open. Beautiful castle. I've never seen a castle inside so beautiful. But the streets were very small, so the shuttle had to drop us off at the main street, and we had to walk like a block and a half to get to the actual street where the opening of the castle is. And you know, the streets there are cobblestone, and They're smaller streets that you can't drive down. And these two women who were both billionaires, they were, and it was raining when we had to walk to the castle. So they're walking in front of me, and I'm trying to keep up with them because I want to ear hustle a little bit to see what the conversation is about. I want to be engaged in the conversation, and they were moving. And I had to step up my pace, and really it made me think about, like, this is the pace you move at that level. Are you moving at the pace of your next level? Are you moving at the pace that is required for you to be at your next level? So these women, these billionaire women leaders on the shuttle bus with everyone else. I mean, obviously they could have had a driver take them or whatever, but we're all on the same bus, having conversation, laughing, having a great time. And when it's time to get off the bus and take that block-and-a-half walk to the castle in full, beautiful gowns and everything, they picked their gowns up and they were moving. And I had to step up my pace. I had to skip a little bit so that I could keep up. And that's how it is if you want to go to the next level. You may have to walk a little bit faster. You may have to skip a little bit to keep up. And if I can leave you with anything, be willing to do that if that's where it's required. And if you want to go to the next level, then know that that is required for you to really evaluate yourself. Am I doing what it takes for me to go to the next level in my industry? Am I stretching myself? Am I polishing my craft? Am I open to going into places where I may be a little bit uncomfortable? Or am I in places where I'm the smartest, I am the richest, I am the most engaging in that place, and I'm just allowing everybody to be like, oh yeah, I'm learning from you? Or am I opening myself up to be the person in that place who is the sponge, because there are giants in that room that I want to grow to? I want to encourage you that giants, just like giraffes, eat from the top of the trees. So that's where your attention should be. That's where you should be spending your time, and not spending your time bending down trying to see what the turtles are talking about and getting caught up in the gossip. That whole time we were there, we spent no time gossiping about who didn't do what right on the stage. It was very encouraging, and it was very motivating for me to say, this is the environment that I want to be in. So whatever environment that you want to see yourself in, stretch yourself to get there. And then as you're going, you be the giant that someone gets to walk with. Happy Women's History Month. I just really pray that this month will make a difference in your life. We still have a few days left, and that this will be a month that makes a difference in your life, and that you will step out of this month into into the second quarter, which is April, right? April starts the second quarter. We're ending the first quarter. That you will step into the second quarter with a renewed mindset, ready to be the giant that someone walks with, humbling yourself to allow yourself to have giants teach you and train you on how to prepare yourself for the next level. Have a great evening.